got me going to the jazz music at this point. From 1991. Got a little bit of my Chris, is it Crutchfield or our Professor Wallace Chris from the 6x7 podcast. And I was sent a lot of lovely gifts. Well, two lovely gifts because they arm wrestled the phone tree. And it is awesome to have stickers. It is also unbelievably awesome to have some really cool essential oils. Combinations I haven't tried before. Oh, it smells so good. The tea is wonderful. You know who you are over there and out there. Thank you so much. Y'all, it's beautiful. I got some really cool paints. Another fan brush. Thank you. For those of you who sent me fan brushes, thank you. Absolutely nothing can get between us and God's love. Romans 8:39. And I have a new owl. And I've been sneezing, so I'm all Rudolph red in the face. Apologies. There's some other beautiful things too, but I have something serious to talk to y'all about, and it has to do with our community. I have received a tremendous amount of pressure to go dark and stay that way while everybody's maneuvering themselves with the president and all that. And y'all know I've been trying to get to psionic abilities without the wireless pretty much this whole time. Good night, baby. Can you close that door for me? Thank you. Sleep well. I love you. So when the Stargate project stuff started rolling around, and I had already told my people about the psionic abilities and that remote viewers were tethered underground to IBM. That's how you get 50 years of a digital twin with the Pentagon. And I said these remote viewing people lied about coordinates. That's what we use the DTIC grids for. With things like the sentient world simulation that was upgraded to the global information grid. Why? Logging into bodies. Body area networks were started in 1995. Right after your Project Stargate CIA bullshitting each other ended. They had tested the psionic abilities, telepathy, empathy, precognition. Those of you that wanted to be special, you told people it was only you and you're a remote viewer. Oh, you might work for the government, maybe not. Nobody would believe you. Everyone made fun of you. Yeah. And a lot more people got busy with human augmentation and body area networks because those body area networks were already there. That's how you had a digital twin tethered to an underground IBM system. The same IBMs we still have underground with something called SAGE radar and PAVE-POS missile defense right now today. Those same IBMs, underground computers, were around with the radar my dad worked on, a Huff Duff, in San Vito, Italy, and Misawa, Japan. AN/something, just like your AN/Spy7 with the Aegis information. That's missile defense. Welcome back to electronic warfare. Weaponizing the radar. Did you know that we have fully dominated the electromagnetic spectrum? It's called full spectrum dominance. Did you know that our current warfare doctrine is that full spectrum dominance? And did you know that the human body is on that electromagnetic spectrum? You'll tell me all sorts of hokum. I know, because there's so many jobs, so much money, and so much industry involved with covering up this system that nobody wants to talk about, because then they would have to tell the truth about what they do when they go to work. So color me confused like normal, because some chick, I don't know who, gets into it with non-vaxxer on the X. I had made a totally different video, but with the amount of snarly woo and everybody wants to fight, the Synergists know that's not my arena. I don't want to fight with you over Pentagon directives. I have no desire to fight with you over something that you're not going to change. You're not in Congress, you're not a general or an admiral, and even if you were, you don't have the ability to change the Pentagon law of war. So what you do is you ad hominem attack me or my community who reads. And we don't want to argue with you about something you can read for yourself. The college textbook with the lethal autonomous weapons statement and systems. You can read that for yourself. We don't want to argue with you about Cambridge teaching about the intrabio nano things with Professor Jornet working on pressure in the intrabody area networks. We don't want to hear that you're going to try to FOIA the Department of Justice over those same intrabody area networks that we use with our Fitbit, our Oura Ring, Agentic AI, the Nintendo Wii back in the day with Wii Sports. Same intrabody area networks are in use with your bioelectronics, your transdermal patches, your wellness company. And as I'm watching this hokum of the new fraudulent lawfare, we're going to FOIA the Department of Justice over the intra-body communication that we've been using since 1996. Apollo Neuro Sensate wearable, same intra-body communication. And as I'm watching these two people tell their audience that that's what they're going to do, they're going to FOIA the Department of Justice for that intra-body area networking in use by the FBI eGuardian program, our fusion centers, the U.S. Marshals, the local police, the jurisdiction type of county and sheriffs and deputies. Then you have your NSA raw data being sent down for parallel construction with your DEA people. They have procedures. I read them out so you don't think it's willy-nilly. That's all sensors, open system architecture, technology. Period. So we have a Synergy Tech Metric PDF for those of you on the X that are complaining that you don't want to have to deal with, and I quote, an open library. You don't. We have a Synergy Tech Metric PDF that is basically the primer for everything we talk about. The links are in it. It does not have my opinion. I removed all of that. There is an older version that has a page and a half of my opinion. I removed that so that you couldn't whine and complain. You could just talk to people without having to attack me or my community. So, after listening to these people talk about FOIA, the Department of Justice, over our sensors open systems architecture technology, which also has modular open system approach, which is when we put a different type of hardware or software on the ass end of an F-35 or anything else. When I see Fort Benning driving drones with their mind as competition in 2022, the Synergists are falling asleep. They've been studying for a year, 2 years. They already know all of this, but the majority out there don't. Why? Well, the people I was listening to, ever so briefly, they lied right to your face, telling you they're going to FOIA the Department of Justice over all these sensor systems, intra-body communication. And I'm like, for what? We use it for everything, for a long time. Commercial, military, medical implant communication system. Whoops, forgot that one. So you're going to FOIA the Department of Justice to sue them over the intrabody area networking that we use with pacemakers and insulin pumps as well. And you're going to take away everybody's wireless earbuds, and you're going to take away the Nintendo Wii, the Pokemon Go. You're just going to take all that away because you're going to sue the DOJ. And then with the fusion centers and everything that we use to monitor for missile defense, particulate in the atmosphere, and smart agriculture, you're just going to sue it all away. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is the same grift as the targeted justice folks just went through, where I said, what are you doing? You're not suing missile defense off. Why are you telling people that you have fraudulent lawfare? They'll give you all their money, millions of dollars, and get nowhere because you're technically, by the technical way the system runs and is deployed and legally insulated, you're lying. So I'm sitting here and I'm thinking, You got to be kidding me. Oh, and then the cut to commercial. What do you think they were selling in their commercial? Quantum healing apps. Well, that's intra-body communication. You're not going to be making money off your precious little apps if you're going to sue the Department of Justice for the same sensor technology that we just watched over DC. So, there is a group of people here. They are a group. They've been a group the entire time I've been online. I am a nice person. A bunch of people figured that out. And I was surprised. Thought, that's a huge lie. What are you doing? So, most of the people in our community were really tired of having to be subjected to circular arguments in which your big faces like Maria Z on the InfoWars lie about the Department of Defense Manual of War, our Pentagon Directive 3009, with the appropriate mosaic warfare, network-centric warfare that we have right now today. And because nobody knows that you're missing anatomy, that they've got tethered to the radar, the microdoppler, and all of their local systems of sensors, fusion centers, nobody knows that. So they get called crazy, targeted individuals. They get into Congress and they laugh at the table about the weapon system doesn't leave a wound. And then they think they're crazy and hopefully take themselves out, especially over long duration hits. So I told my community a long time ago about being 6 years old in the front lawn, taking 60 Sikorsky helicopters, autonomous helicopters, and parking them across the road when I was 6 years old. Psionic abilities, telepathy, empathy, precognition, those are bioelectricity and neurons. So how does synchron work, the brain-to-brain interface in our Ellisphere neurological journals? HOW, how does that synthetic telepathy as a product, as a service? HOW, how does it work? Because what you're going to tell me, no doubt, is that humans don't have telepathy, empathy, or precognition. That's all ESP. We don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy. Okay, well, synchron's right there in the Ellisphere neurojournals, along with the cognitive warfare statement from NATO, worried about brain-computer interface, which is 50 years old of R&D and development, deployment, and it's been commercial on the YouTube for 10 years. People turn it on the coffee pot with their mind, which is why at Fort Benning, the competition in 2022 was about driving the drone with your mind. That's a product. Unicorn wearable. That's a service. That's a W-band relay. That's a Kubernetes container system on a chip with Microsoft OpenAI Azure. We talked about it 2 years ago. Then we talked about the Russian photonics radar 2 years ago. What did you do out there? It's her hair. Boy, that's interesting, isn't it? Because here comes the drones in New Jersey lying about the Immaculate Constellation. Those are wireless sensor networks. We use constellations of them to affect smart agriculture, the air particulate, like we do with Nellis Black Flag events when we're checking for exactly what type of changes we want to put into the atmosphere, not just for controlling the weather. Oh no, lots of different reasons of manipulating the molecular coherence of our atmosphere. How? Well, did you lie about human anatomy for the last 100 years? Yeah, you did. You told people that the aura was fake. So 6,000 years of human anatomy. No, you're crazy. Chiropractors are insane. The people doing acupressure and acupuncture, they're messing with a body part known as the interstitium and another body part called the skin. They're insane. Clearly 6,000 years of Chinese medicine is a bunch of people who, they just made things up. And when you go to the chiropractor and he starts pushing on your muscles and your skin, he's just giving you a placebo effect. Excuse me? Yeah, that's where we're at. Is your heart electrical? No. No, it's not. I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, these are called circular arguments. And what they do is they demoralize people to the point that they don't even want to talk anymore. Because you've spent so much time gaslighting and lying and just hurting people rather than be honest with them and explain. You have bioelectricity. And there's more neurons in your heart than your brain. So this is what I did. I said, that's piloerection. Everybody can do it. Like I said, I've been blowing my nose all day. Apologies. And so, that's just a short version. I have a bunch of long videos, short videos, helping people feel their own skin. I said, that's your bioelectricity. Where do we scrape stem cells from? Pluripotent stem cells. The skin. What are they using for? Their DoD, Department of Defense, nano casualty care with haptic gear and smart textile clothing. Molecular communication. It's how your cells signal each other naturally. HOW. Because you lied about the remote viewers who are tethered to underground IBM. You told everyone only believe in what you can see. Well, that would be Bill Gates. And you went to work under people's skin for 30 years now. So now President Trump gets out there and says, we'll take your cancer away in 2 days. Here on our channel, nobody's surprised. That's biomedical engineering with precision AI healthcare. We've been talking about it for 2 years. Tori at the Tori Says community, she's been talking about it since 2018 with molecular communication that we can read at MIT. But out there on the X, where the grifters and the people who've been making money on fraud, covering up for these systems, there's a bunch of it, because nobody wants to be honest. They have a UFO circle to protect. They have all sorts of these stories they want to tell. They don't want to admit the system they've already got. They don't want to talk about how they log in. Now, it's okay for our college students at Cambridge and Oxford and SRI and Caltech. They can learn about the intrabio nano things. The college students can become sensor hunters, hunting biosensors inside human beings. But you out there want to argue. You out there want to pretend that this is a vaccine rather than a biocyber interface that they've had in the works since 2011. New York University, Abu Dhabi with Professor Akhildes. Oh, that's just getting started. He's been to Northeastern. He's given speeches since 2011 worldwide. So that's why here in our community, we don't like the counterintelligence people. They're all in one big group. They work with Maria Z, Todd Callender, the Vax Choice people, Dr. Anna. They're all in the same group, and they all communicate with one another. Dr. Ruby talking to the same Moroccan team that don't want anybody to know what's really going on here. Now, there is a person I wish to exclude, and that's Dr. Robert Young. I know he's a big masterpiece person. Him and I disagree on that. It has to do with the Internet of Medical Things, why we disagree. But one thing about Dr. Robert Young is that he told the truth about how the interstitium and the skin are in use. He told the truth about the biofield. He told the truth about how the system is working, molecular communication-wise. He and I also don't entirely agree on the gut microbiome alkaline, but he is right about the gut microbiome being affected and manipulated. Exogenous signals, exogenous meaning external stimuli, that then when you swallow nano and other types of materials, not nanotechnology even, just other types of materials, somebody else with a remote control is logging into your microbiome. Dr. Grew knows all about that. He's tried to talk about it. I see he still does try to talk about it. But the majority of your people out there that have your face, they lie to you. And that's what they've been doing for almost 3 years now. So when the drones showed up in New Jersey, and here on the channel, we warned all of you and tried to help sheriffs almost a year ago now with Project Maven, Mosaic Warfare, Network-Centric Warfare, Body Area Networks, how the drones are assigned by grids. Nobody wanted to hear it except our channel because they were busy making money, telling stories, getting clicks. So now we have a Sikorsky helicopter that plows right into an airplane. Mosa, tell me how. How did you override that login? Library access. How else did you do it? You want to talk about the routing for it? You want to talk about the order of the towers for it? We're in DC. This is going to be real interesting for me if I go there. I shouldn't be the one doing it anyways, should I, Tori? No. No. It should be you out there. You're the ones who know what you're doing. You're getting paid to do this stuff. And not a one of you would stand up for me or Tori or any of us who have NSA family who've tried to educate rather than scare the out of people, take their money. We're the two women you'll never hear about. I'm from Black Projects, Special Access Projects, Boeing, Lockheed, McDonnell Douglas, X-Class Projects, Blue. So when I saw the DARPA name, alias, my very first email at yahoo.com is ALAIS Blue. Akater, Grandpa. Brainy Parkham behind the mountain. Okay. Now, I've shown plenty of video, the Psynergist watching me, and I've explained how my podunk redneck neighbors had no issue watching the C-130 go over the lawn. You can read the fuselage. It tips our tall pine trees. House is shaking. Big old birds, 2 of them. And they disappear right in front of your face. And the Despot channel produced the Cheshire Jet cloaking with plasmonics paper. And I said, yes. We have different rivers of plasma, if you will. Scoot, scoot, scoot the orbs along, among other things. So where did those planes go? Well, they go park by the phase array across the road. I've only seen Air Force One twice since living here in 2017. She's on a different track. The C-130's come across right here by the house, but she's over there. The place where our weirdo neighbors begged us 3 times to purchase the land. And we're like, it's a strip of land. We couldn't even get in our driveway. What's wrong with you? Oh, some format of security. So we look at our podunk neighbors and they're like, yeah, a bunch of us worked on continuity of government, digging underground, whatever. Happens all the time. Nobody cares. Oh. How are the rednecks here in Appalachia smarter than everybody else in the world? Right. So, I've tried everything that I can think of. People are very cruel to me. They're continuing to be sadistic. They don't want to talk about their jobs. They don't want to talk about the incredible amount of people who are doing these jobs. They want people afraid and paying them money for staying afraid. And here on the channel, like I said, we've tried everything we know how to stay out of circular arguments. So you know where the problem is now? Here come these people. Well, I'll bring you, non-vaxxer, on my podcast. So that way I can throw you under the bus should anybody complain or say they don't believe it. Now, I'm not going to put my own reputation on the line by reading for myself, establishing with a professional I trust what I'm reading and how to explain it. No, I'm going to bring you on my podcast, then I'm going to throw you under the bus. Plausible deniability, that's what it's called. So he has a very visceral reaction after being blatantly ignored by the same Betty Boop, BioNTech, who patent quantum dot, has screwed up more brains than I can count, calling the natural human anatomy a demon field, telling people that CERN is a demon portal rather than our underground IBM with the digital twin databases. Then you have Pavlov-Lapova. There's no nano.gov. It's not real. There's no Internet of Bodies. It's not real. And this is the kind of lying that you're getting from previous Pfizer and BioNTech employees. Are you surprised? Pardon my nose.
Seems I'm trapped, I can't break free. Without you, who would I be? Branded myself powerless. Is my need my cowardice?
Why can't you tell people the truth about their own skin? So, I hope that this different approach from me helps those of you out there that are still struggling to understand why our channel has hard boundaries with any podcaster and any creator who asserts that they are unable to read diagrams from Cambridge. They are unable to read appropriate materials from the United Nations, the ITU, the IEC, the ISO with the IEEE. We don't know what all those acronyms are, but professionals do. Like I said, you go get a professional that you trust, you look over it, and you educate yourself, then you take that to your audience. You don't pull other people in and go, well, he said it. I don't know. Is it really a college textbook? That's what other people did to Dr. David Hughes. He wrote a book. He did a great presentation. I think it's a Dr. Alyssa Johnson or something like that out there too. There's Babes with Brains on the YouTube. Everybody's reading the same documents, but we're plebes. I'm not a doctor. Non-vaxxer, works construction. So all we did was read, and all of these people that are on the X, they read, and therefore you're not going to take them seriously. They're just civilians who read. How would they know? Yet somehow, here on our channel, I paid $200 for my college textbook set. First page, first chapter, Brain-Machine Interface, Lethal Autonomous Weapons System, Skyborg, Skynet. And you still want us, me in particular, non-vaxxer too, to throw ourselves on the pyre of your cowardice, burn us up with plausible deniability so you can grift a little more. Because you refuse to tell people it's their own skin connected to the internet, period. Because then, of course, they always say, well, I don't want to be connected to the internet. And then we have to tell them, well, I'm sorry, you don't get a choice. Biosurveillance with DHS, it's national security, it's mandated. Then all the lying right now about the mRNA. You lied about your biomedical engineers. You lied about precision AI healthcare. You know who didn't? RFK Jr. They just asked him, and he said telehealth and e-health for sensing and actuating right there in Congress in regards to not having hospitals in rural areas. Not a problem, says RFK. That's right. And your cybersecurity expert told you 99% mesh networking, we're good to go. So I hope you can appreciate that those of us on the Synergy channel are finished with circular arguments. If you want to lie about the Pentagon Law of War and set people up so they're completely stupid regarding drones, wireless sensor network constellations, smart city initiatives, electronic corridors, it's called drone warfare. Full spectrum dominance of the electromagnetic spectrum. That's what it is. If you want to learn about it, we have a Rumble channel. There's Non-Vaxxers channel. You can go straight to MIT, the IEEE, the CERN Biomedical. It's all right there. If you don't want to learn about it and you want to fight in circular arguments and talk to conspiracy theorists, you go ahead. But we are not going to participate in that. The onus and the culpability, the capability, and the accountability needs to be on the podcaster. You're very capable of reading a diagram. I don't care who you are. And you are very capable of figuring this out for yourself. All you have to do is read. That's it. And I am not going to disrespect the entire Synergy community. It's international, by the way. I'm translated into about 15 different languages fairly often. And that's because I tell the truth about electronic warfare, drone warfare, and the electromagnetic dominance for the new biomedical engineering, for your precision AI healthcare, which is operant off of molecular communication, synthetic biology, and omics, for human 2.0 augmentation, as required by the United Nations Agenda Goals. Whether or not you leave the World Health Organization, nobody cares. Nation states decided to augment their populations individually. 15 years ago, they're going to hotels and conferences, exchanging their white matter or gray matter out for organelles and organoids. That's called system on a chip. Remember when I asked you, I said, how does their synthetic telepathy work? Because, psychic's not real and all that. Bunch of frauds. So I thought it was a strategic move and brilliant for Trump to call it Stargate, force accountability. When'd you turn off the remote viewers and turn on the body area networks? 1995. How'd you do that? Interbody communication. Well, we're going to FOIA the Department of Justice. 30 years later, and everybody's going to hand in their Fitbit, their Oura Ring, all these products. Plus, we're going to be blind in electronic warfare. We're just going to give all that up because you FOIA the Department of Justice to confirm what everyone and anyone can read for themselves right now, even on the Wikipedia. And it's our current warfare doctrine. That's some pretty big, that's a huge lie. I don't know why they're doing that. I don't want to be involved. Not at all. I am not interested. Here's what happens. I can hear it. What do we do? I don't think you appreciate that this is life extension technology with Vermont University and Harvard. I don't think you appreciate that nanobots have been out there with students for 20 years. And the reason you don't are all these people that you're watching lie to you. Then they'll tell you, I've watched Sabrina for 2 years. I know what she's talking about. Then why aren't you talking about it with proper government or industry documentation for your own podcast accountability? Why are you looking to take myself or non-vaxxer and roll us through the coals so that you can stand there with your friends and then go on to the next grift, whatever gets you clicks, instead of telling the truth to people? That is why he responded to you, Courtney, whoever you are, the way that he did. And I have one person that I know, just one, who knows who you are, and I know that you know what sophistry is. That one person genuinely enjoys your content. So here's a personal warning for you. The woman who has approached you to come tell you all these things, you better be careful. They sell very fraudulent products. They've been busted and caught, just like Russell Brand and his alleged EMF pendants. These products do not work anymore the way they did 15 years ago. It's molecular communication, metamaterials, and biosignals. And that was what ended our relationship, unbeknownst to me, because I alerted them to the data that I found, and they decided to go off on a tear. Haven't stopped since, and it's embarrassing. So instead, I've been real quiet about it, trying to figure out the best way to communicate. So I chose Russell Brand's pendant instead of theirs, and they've decided to flex all their dirty laundry and continue to ad hominem. And that is why I really hope that you're careful. They are also responsible for taking the data from the research I did with my blessing and putting it into some slideshows that are very helpful to people, okay? The problem is they lie about the biosensors, they lie about our network-centric warfare, and they're lying about their EMF products. For that, you can go to Nano Casualty Care with the Department of Defense HDIAC on the YouTube 3 years ago. We walk right around haptic gear, pendants, hoods, helmets, whatever it is. Well, I'm going to live in a Faraday cage. Nobody's capable of doing that when another body area network walks next to you. We use your biological signals. That's why none of these things work for very long, if at all. That's the upgrades to electronic warfare. Okay? So I wish you all luck out there. I love you all very, very much. I'm sorry that this is the direction they're still going. Most of all, I'm sorry for people like Tori and our electronic warfare community of employees. They're very tough people, I understand that. But if we're going to see any authentic change with all the death and destruction, you would think people would be very motivated to educate rather than fenestrate. Our channel has many resources available, and the Psynergist community is exceedingly well educated. They have different areas because they're different people, but they will help you. And as far as piloerection and biofield practice goes, that's just one more mitigation technique. You don't have to pay for it, and there's a lot of people that teach it now. Go find one. You do not need me, you need you. Take back your anatomy, learn about the dominance of the electromagnetic spectrum, advanced signals technology, Sosamosa Osa, and stop pretending that the little green men are coming. I have done more research with the Dark Journalist, and again, I'm very sorry, but the hyperfield math and the other components for what just happened with the same DARPA program are in my writing in 1998. Your Soteria from Stranger Things, that's in my writing in 1997. My grandfather was Fort Meade Station 1, Boeing Vertol project after what you did in Vietnam, with the electronic corridors. So I would genuinely appreciate it if those of you out there could work together. Somebody dug up a video of mine from a year ago. It's very relevant now. Yeah, because I've been saying the same thing the whole time. I may not be here online very often. I told the Synergist the day would come where I wouldn't be here like that anymore. I have a Ko-Fi, I have a Telegram, and there are good people there who've been waiting for over a year to move into the psionic abilities so we could figure out ways to defend ourselves from all these different signals and systems as best we can. It's a different venue of research than what I've been pulled into, which is endless circular arguments by people who claim they can run a podcast, but they're illiterate. They don't know how to read. It's not appropriate. Nobody should have put up with it, and I certainly won't. Because if I did, if I let you off the hook like that, what about all these people right here, right now? Are they somehow lesser than you because they don't have a podcast? One final note of warning about the audience that watches me. We are replete with your academicians, professors, professionals, your educationalists, and the people who come from electronic warfare for real. We are replete with physicists and run-of-the-mill musicians and people who just love life and living it. So if you're going to continue to gaslight, you may eventually run up on somebody like that. They're going to make it funny, and they're going to educate people at the level of their comprehension, and then you'll be forced into a corner one way or another because too many people will actually know how your stuff works. You're welcome. We can do better. Let's show them how. You and I, shadows block the